Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the biggest takeaways from doing this independent project in art, Very Private Gallery and Very Private Art. I've been working on it full-time since July 2018, and I was already doing this project in 2015, 2016, but I was doing a couple of other things at the same time. I was working for different clients as a consultant, as a multimedia technician consultant, and in 2017 I took 1 year off and did my MBA, that is Master in Business Administration, and it was also a great learning process, but I feel like I have learned so much more from doing my own project independently and working full-time on it, and it's such an intensive, like overwhelming learning curve, like really steep curve, and I would like to share with you what I've learned, and maybe some points are not completely positive. In the startup world, if you're starting your own company or project or your own small business, very likely like 80-90% of chance in 1 year and a half your project will fail and you will lose and you will be left with nothing or even with debts. So it is very harsh journey and it's not always positive. The first thing I've learned, or like the biggest takeaway, would be time is the most valuable resource you will have available to you. We all have 24 hours a day. This is the most democratic, the most fair thing in the world. Even you are really efficient, you can make really the most out of your time, but you can only have that much time. If you do one thing, you cannot do another. So it's very important to prioritize and cut away unnecessary things from your life, especially toxic people, unnecessary things. And if you can outsource some things, outsource it so you can save time. If you have your friends who are also startup founders or artists and they are starting their own project, when they say that they don't have time for this activity or for a night out with you, they are probably telling the truth, because when you start doing it, you realize that you really don't have enough time for everything. You have it for your friends, you don't have it for your family. You have it for your family, you don't have it for your projects. You are your own boss, you're your own assistant, you're your own employee, you're your own accountant. It's really important to plan it strategically. The second thing is about money. Money is a really crucial factor in the success of your project. Maybe money cannot buy happiness, but money can buy some level of success. And it's really important to have a startup capital for your art project. And you can't just running around, naked without money. And you can't just ban the most out of each buck. A startup company, when they're doing really well, they're really promising the best idea in the world, and they can't be successful because at a certain point they have a cash flow problem and they run out of money, everything kaput, it goes down, and again you fail and you are left with nothing. So it's very important to plan well the money and to make sure that when you need to burn the money, you need to invest. But you can't always do everything on your own and not hiring and not paying other people for certain things, because when it's time to spend money, you need to have the money to be spent. The third thing is that the quality is not the most important thing. Sometimes quantity is more important than quality. I know for many of you it's counterintuitive and you are taught to be a perfectionist and always, achieve, aim high and do the best and be the best in the world. And sorry, in this digital era, a lot of times that, especially when you're promoting your art in social media, it's very important to have the quantity over quality. For example, if you can produce a piece of content in 10 hours, like you use 10 hours to create a blog post, a video, or a series of photos, and it's a lot better to use 1 hour to create a piece of content that is fair in quality but not the best, and create 10 pieces of content so you can put it out in 10 different days or in a certain period of time, so when people are checking on your website, social media, you always have new content for them to search, to see, so you don't lose your fans and you're always in touch and always fresh and always there. The social media presence is a thing, and unfortunately today if you give high quality content, it won't show. Like now I'm filming on 2K, like 2K is half the quality as 4K. I can have a 4K, I can have a cinematographic camera as well, I can use Captivate, After Effects and all this fancy music and stuff. Well, guess what? It's okay to have a fair quality and just put more content out there so you can reach more people, and it's sometimes more important than quality, unfortunately. Last but not the least, there's the controversial point that sometimes you have to choose between rights or rich. I mean, right, like you're correct, like you are damn right to the point. And I have learned about the life of one very genius guy. He's a surgeon and his name is Ignaz Semmelweis. And he's such a artist in surgery. Like he discovered that you need to wash your hands before going to the surgical theater, before performing the surgery, cutting your patients open, and that will prevent infections, contagious diseases, and other surgeons. Back in his time, he was in the mid 1800, so exactly I think in 1858, and that's a long time ago. At that time, people didn't know how contagious diseases were like transmitted, and they didn't know at all nothing about surgery, and we were in the very beginning of the surgical history. He discovered that. He was so right about it, but because he was actively advocating for this idea, his contemporaries, other people in the medical field, thought he was crazy and basically like exiled him from performing surgery. His wife didn't believe him also, like she thought he was crazy, he was out of his mind, and he was beaten to death and he died alone. And it's not something that we would wish to happen in our lives. A lot of times that if you are too right and you insist and you just go brutally towards your point of being right, it's not the best way to do things. A lot of times you have to choose that you can be a little bit right and not going extreme there, and you know what you're doing. Like you know what is right, but you don't shout it out there, making fool of other people. Like if you say, oh, washing your hand is so good in surgery, you guys are idiots and you don't do that, your patient will die. And guess what? You're right, but you'll probably be beaten to death if you do this way. If you are an artist and you want to be so right, be so true to your art, that's great. But a lot of artists, great genius artists, they die poor and they die alone, full of diseases and being abandoned by the society, by their families, and it's not a good life. It's not a fulfilling artistic life. Other artists who knew that what was right, but didn't always insist it, and they could compromise between what they want to do and what the market, what the collectors wanted. Like Picasso, I mean, he was a genius, but he was able to give what the markets wanted, and he was able to live a wealthy, fair life, and it's a lifestyle that you have to choose. It is totally your choice. You can choose to compromise to the market and listen to the market, or you can choose to reject it completely and insisting on what you think is right. And again, you have to choose between being right and being rich, or maybe a sweet point between the two, because I think it's not black and white. You can choose to walk the fine line between maybe doing some projects that you think is so artistic, so true to yourself, and maybe doing some other works like commissioned works or other kind of projects that is not completely artistic, a little more commercial, a little more towards the market trends, so that you can have the bread and butter and support your family and have more money for your future upcoming art projects. Finally, it is your choice to do the project the way you want, but keep in mind that if you don't want to die miserable, poor, and alone, you better look around you and look what is going on and find a very, very smart way to insert yourself in the market, in the world. Thank you very much for watching this video. I produce a video every day and I try to do it right now Monday to Friday, because now it's the summer season and it's super noisy on the weekends, like in the streets, and everybody's taking their time in the beach, and I thought I may take my Saturday off, so now I will be doing 5 videos every week, Monday to Friday. Make sure you hit the subscription button if you have not yet, and let me know what you think. Thank you and see you in the next video.